Little by little, bit by bit, I'm getting to the heart of it. Little by little, love is guiding me home. Warm greetings, everyone, and welcome to Small Steps, Big Life. It is my extreme pleasure to welcome my dear friend Sherry O'Hara from San Diego. Yay!
Hello.
Hi, I'm back in Vancouver, but she's in San Diego, and we were just saying before the show started that it seems like San Diego is now behaving like San Diego. It's sunny and warm, and Vancouver has been beautiful. A friend of mine said that Vancouver has been having the weather that San Diego should have been having, so I'm glad nature has kind of straightened that all out. You have sun, I have sun, and all's well. So
Yes, you can never have too much sunshine.
you can never have too much sunshine. So, Sherry, when did we met at the Conscious Music Fest, right? That was in November of 2013.
Yes, gosh, it's been 2 years already.
It's been almost 2 years, yeah. And I will be back with you at the Conscious Music Fest this November, and I'm quite happy and excited about that. And in the meantime, you and I have had a lovely friendship, and we just had a wonderful visit when I was in San Diego about 10 days ago. And you shared an amazing story with me, and I thought I just have to get Sherry to share that story with the world. So here we are. So let's start at the top. Tell people about you, Sherry. Name, where you're from, just whatever you'd like to share off the top.
Yeah, sure. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, and I just craved a warmer climate, so here I am in beautiful sunny San Diego. But I was born and raised in Baltimore.
And
Yeah,
when did you move from? Now, it wasn't straight Baltimore to San Diego. There was some other.
this is true. This is true. I had a pit stop in Las Vegas for about 8 years.
Hmm.
And I started to miss water because Maryland, it's surrounded by water, the Chesapeake Bay and all that. So I was a desert rat for a few years. I love that term,
Yeah.
and 8 years to be exact. And I
Hmm.
missed water, so here I am.
Excellent. Good for you.
Yeah.
And um, the story that we spent a lot of time talking about when we were together was this show now that you have created. Would you say it's created, or it's still in the process of being created? Is it still fluid? I know it's very early in the process, so I'm just wondering how you would describe it at this point.
It's still in the process. I think it will always be evolving.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I've only done the show 2 times now, but each time I've done it, I noticed it evolved even more. It deepened for me. My connection with the audience deepened, and I think that's going to happen every single time.
Yeah. So tell us what's the show? It's a one-woman show,
Yes.
and if I remember correctly, you said you've performed it twice.
hmm
So it's still pretty new. So what's the show? What is it about?
It's called Poetic Musicale,
Hmm.
a spoken memoir of survival, strength, and spirituality.
Wow.
And it's a story about my life. I've had, one heck of a life. A
Hmm.
lot of experiences, dark and light, that have happened in my timeline, my personal timeline. And so I share this as a way to inspire other people to step out of experiences that have brought them feelings of shame, feelings of needing to hide. And so in my show, I use this as a way to give them a voice, maybe in ways that they've never used that voice before. And I find that not only is it still a healing process for me, I share things that I've healed from, but it still is interesting how it unpeels like the layers of an onion. It's just
Hmm.
these new layers of healing that happen for me, and it's really powerful watching it happen for audience members as well. I like smaller audiences so that I can connect with them more,
Hmm.
and I just love watching these new ideas of healing and releasing happen, and I can see it in their eyes, I see it on their faces, and I love connecting with them after the show and hearing their stories. Sometimes people share stories that they've never shared before.
Yeah.
So that's really what the show is about from start to finish. It's not just about me, it's also about them.
Yeah. That's something that I'm fond of saying is that when we dare to be vulnerable, we give everyone else permission to do the same. And everybody is just waiting, is just dying to have that opportunity. So on behalf of all the people that have seen your show, and on behalf of all those who will see your show, thank you for doing that. Yeah.
My honor.
So when did you, let's go back to the beginning. When did you get the idea, or when did the desire start in you to actually put a show together about your story?
I was asked last summer to do a show at the center that I belong to. I attend a Centers for Spiritual Living in San Diego, Universal Spirit Center.
Exactly. Let's give it a plug. All right. Okay.
Plug. And I was asked to do a one-woman show, and I had never done such a thing. And I said, well, I have some poetry that I guess I can read, and I write my own music, so I guess I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 weeks before I was going to do this, I still had nothing really prepared because I never did anything like this.
Mm-hmm.
I saw my friend's one-woman show. Her name is Brenda Edelman, and her story is very similar experience of her show. She shares her crazy life, and I thought, wow, I can do this. And what it invoked in me for my personal healing path, I thought, this is it. This is what I need to be doing. And so within 2 weeks, I put together the show from start to finish. And that's how it got started. And going into it, I did not know what it would look like, but the divine worked through me, and it was just perfection is what unfolded. So that's what inspired me to even do this in the first place.
And it sounds like Brenda may be one of the people that would fit into the answer to this question. But, you know, it's been my experience that whenever someone takes on any kind of venture, it's really hard to do it alone. And I know you told me that you wrote all the music and wrote all the show by yourself, but were there people that supported you, that you were asking questions of? Brenda, for instance, was she a big resource for you as you were working on this?
Yes, absolutely. Brenda actually owns a business teaching people how to start their own one-person shows, and she has a whole online course.
Wow.
So yes, in addition to performing her own show, so she's had huge success, and so she's been my biggest mentor with all of this. And then Reverend Tricia Burson Johnson here at Universal Spirit Center, she and I got together, and she helped me put the show into form, because you know, I was looking at my own music, my own poems, saying how do they fit. So she was really instrumental in helping me just put it together and making it an actual, you know, thing to present. So they were my two biggest supports with this.
And so would it be phone calls? Would it be face-to-face meetings? Or just a mix of a whole bunch of moments that you had with the both of them?
Absolutely, definitely. Yeah, Brenda and I have met on the phone, in person, email, all kinds of different, just a mix of it all. And 2-hour phone coaching sessions. She's just been amazing.
Wow. And what kinds of things did you, coaching, you know, can be such a big word. Were there specific things that she or they were talking to you about? Because, you know, I don't imagine you had issues around performing or being a wallflower or any of that kind of stuff. You seem very natural in front of, you know, audiences and all that kind of stuff. So what kinds of things were they coaching you on?
Oh, that's such a good question.
Yeah.
I'm feeling this in my body now.
Oh, good.
So when I first did the show, there was an innocence about me. I went in and I did it. And in the show, I share about, you know, a suicide attempt. I share about being beaten. I share about poverty. So I share about all of this. And I had been talking about it for years. You know, I have no problem sharing this with friends. But now I'm sharing it to an audience. And I'm a performer. But now I'm sharing something so intimate to an audience. So suddenly I didn't feel like a performer. And during the first show, things were coming up in me. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I can't lose my cool on stage. You just don't cry on stage. But I still did. And I lost my voice for a week after doing the show. I got strep throat.
Wow.
And Brenda said to me, she said, that's very normal. And she said it was a long time before I did my show again for the same reason. And so I realized that even though all of it was healing work that had happened in me, there were still, like I said before, those layers. And being the first time I ever performed it, Brenda walked me through that and helped me so that the next time I performed the show, that wouldn't happen. This way I could protect myself more. And and uh, and she also said one thing that was really uh, poignant for me was she said, cry on stage. And she said that's what helps people connect with the trueness of the experience.
Yeah.
So that was a big liberation for me to do my show. So those were the big things that came up.
I feel like with this next question, you've already answered it a little bit, but let's just see if anything else comes up. What has been what's been the hardest? Let me frame it this way. What's been the most challenging thing about doing this show? Is it kind of being emotionally honest in the presentation of it, or like what have your challenges been around it?
The challenges have been worthy issues. It's been the feelings of, well, who really wants to hear my story? Who wants to sit around for an hour and 15 minutes and hear all this depressing stuff? So it was really, just the worthy issues, not really the technical stuff of, oh, I have to write this song, or oh, I have to, get this poem. It's nothing like that. It's just been that. And the way I worked through that challenge is just remembering the purpose. And remembering that not everybody has talked about their experiences yet. And like I said, this gives other people a voice. So working through those worthy issues and saying, yes, this is a story that wants to be heard. That's been the biggest challenge that I've had to overcome.
And I assume it'll probably kind of be nipping at your ear every time you do perform. That's part of the edge of it, is that that stuff is never done. It's about turning down the volume of it,
Yes, it's those little mind games that always, just want to kind of peek in there. And so learning that I have the power to say, no, not listening to you right now. Thank you, though.
Excellent. And so, again, I feel like you've already answered this. So the most satisfying thing then has been finding out that this really resonates with the people in the audience, and them coming up and sharing their stories with you.
Absolutely. My show, I don't hold back. I don't warm them up into anything. Within the first minute, you're hearing things that are just shocking. So I don't hold back at all during the show. It's very very raw, very intimate. And I do that intentionally because this is a truth that all of us experience at some point or another in our lives. It's this feeling of having to hide something or something that we're ashamed of. So every single person in the world can resonate with that. So like I said before, it's just so rewarding when the audience members come up to me after the show in tears sometimes, and they just say, I've never told anybody this, or wow, I haven't thought about that in years. Maybe it's time to start that healing process. So, and then just connecting with them during the show, knowing that I'm really striking a chord with them. And one thing I always say in my show is, if I reach just one of you tonight, then I've done my job.
I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I'm going to ask you what I hope won't feel like too big a favor, but for the benefit of those who haven't seen the show, and hopefully will see the show, and I am going to just project into some future moment that you will have a DVD of this, or there will be a YouTube video of this or something, and that's not the present reality. So I'm wondering if you would be generous enough to share with us a piece of the show. Just take a part of it that feels like the most appropriate thing for you to share in this moment, so that people get a taste of all the things you're talking about. So we're not just talking about it, we can actually experience a little bit of it right now with you.
Let's see. I wish I had a piece of my poetry with me. Nathan. Let's see. Maybe I can sing a song a cappella. What do you think about that?
Sure.
I'll sing one of the songs from the show. It's called God's Grace. Let me get into proper singing form here. delicate, tear-filled eyes. She didn't know she was beautiful, but still she smiled despite her tears. She knew somehow that she could be more. It was the truth that let her faith. The grace of God, it showed her the way. God is the grace that moves through me, the subtle voice of wisdom, the inspiration to move ahead. I am a pure expression of grace. So that's a snippet from one of the songs. How did that sound on your
It
end?
sounded beautiful. Thank you. For those who are just joining us in mid-flight, we are in the middle of an episode of Small Steps, Big Life. My guest today is Sherry O'Hara in San Diego, and she is sharing with us excerpts from her one-woman show, which is, again, give us the title.
It is Poetic Musicale, a spoken memoir of survival, spirituality, and strength.
Wow, you need a big marquee for that.
Yeah.
But it's a perfect title. It's great.
Thank you.
So thank you for doing that. I realized that I should have asked you that beforehand, and then as you were speaking, I thought, yeah, people are going to have a little bit of a taste of this. So thank you for being willing to play.
Good.
So the next question I have ask is, you got to this point, as everyone does, by just continuing to persist with your idea, to see it from, this feels important, to, where it is now. You've only done a few performances of it, and you will do many more. What kinds of things, and I'm thinking about people who may be listening to this who are needing hope or inspiration in their goal, in their vision, whatever it may be. What kinds of things did you say to yourself, or do you say to yourself in an ongoing way now about the show, about this process, about improving it, about performing it, about recording it? Like what kinds of thoughts, affirmations do you generate from inside of yourself to inspire you to keep moving forward with this?
There's definitely a call to be more authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned before, the first time I did the show, it was kind of this random thing of, oh, what am I going to do? So that's how it was born. The second time I did the show, it was to have more of a heart experience and less of a head experience, to just get out of that busy head space. And so the second time I did the show, it was a hybrid of the both.
Mm-hmm.
But the third show and all the rest, it's really a call to have more of an authentic experience, not to focus so much on the material, but to use the material to deliver an even deeper experience.
Right. Wonderful. So my next question is, what's next? What is your vision for the show? Where would you like to perform it? Just I'm thinking about the title of the show. Let's look at this in small steps. So your next step would be?
My next step is to finish putting together all of my promotional stuff, completing my website, doing another video recording, getting the photos, and just getting all of the marketing together.
Yep.
The step after that is get it out there. And this is something that I want to take into prisons. I want to take this into women's shelters, rehab facilities, high schools, colleges. And this is something that on the bigger goal, I would love to do this globally. But right now, we'll start in San Diego.
So coming back to that list, that's quite an impressive list. What is the inspiration for you to do it in prisons and women's shelters? Do you have a personal connection with those places, or Like, what is inspiring you, wanting you to take the show there?
We're all people,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my connection. And my job is to see the divinity in all people. So that's why the prisons, that's why women's shelters, that's why rehab facilities, because these tend to be groups of people that don't recognize the divinity and the power and the beauty within themselves because of where they are
Mm-hmm.
in that moment. So that's my connection to them, is seeing the divine in me and seeing the divine in them.
Mm-hmm. And so, are there particular places that you have in mind in San Diego? Do you have connections in these places, or are you just going to phone and say, "Hey, I have a brilliant idea, and you should say yes to it"?
I love that. A little bit of both.
Hmm.
I have some connections. A friend of mine works, she's a security guard in a prison.
Hmm.
I have lots of connections with rehab facilities. A lot of my friends here at the center are, from, they're in, uh, oh, what is it? They're in recovery
Mm-hmm.
as well. So I've got those connections. Being a female, I don't think it'll be that challenging to find connections for women's shelters.
Hmm.
And for the connections that I don't have, I will get on the phone and say, "Hey, I'm Sherry O'Hara."
Excellent. I love that. Hey, I'm sure you've heard. You must have heard of me, and if you haven't, well, you will soon.
Heard of me.
So, if people would like to get in touch with you, you told me that there are two ways that you would prefer to do that. One of them is your website, which is sherryohara.com, SherryoOhara.com, and your email address, which you were generous enough to say you'd like to share too, is singersherryohara@gmail.com. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, if you had uh, uh, one one inspiring thought that you would like to give to the people who are watching, listening, what would it be about exactly this, about living your dream, taking small steps to live the big life which you are living? What would you say to them?
I was asked this in an interview I did recently, and the very first thing I can think of that I thought of then and still now is, you are powerful.
Hmm.
I think those are such powerful words, just recognizing the power in me. And as I recognize this in me, it's so easy to see in other people. So that's my goal for each person, to see their own power.
Hmm. Wonderful. Fantastic. Wow. Well, where were the two performances of the show? Were they both at the center?
They were,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Right there in their sanctuary.
All right. And again, this is Universal Spirit Center in San Diego. And so you just went to Reverend Kevin and said, "I have an idea," and he said, "Yes, go for it."
Mm-hmm.
Or fantastic.
Yes.
Kevin,
The first one I was asked to do, and the second one I said, "Hey, let's do this again."
and what was involved in staging it? Were there other people? Did you need technical support, or is it relatively simple to do the show? Do you have a bunch of props and instruments or whatever?
I like to keep things simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have props or anything like that. The only prop I had was a journal, because I did a lot of writing of poetry as a way to deal with things. So I like to bring that into the show. So that's my only prop, is a journal that I write in during the show.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and the second time I filmed it. So I, of course, had sound and special lighting and a recording person with the video. But for the most part, it's just me and a pianist.
Well, good. So that'd be easy for you to travel with then.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good. Well, I am happy to be bringing awareness of your show to the wider world on YouTube and wherever else. And yeah, I will hold the vision of you sharing this not only in San Diego, but the seed of it just spreading far and wide. And yeah, may this show serve you well and help you to do exactly that.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So, any other things that you are thinking that you'd like people to know, or thoughts that you'd like to leave people with?
You know, after my show, I recognized that a lot of old things are opened up for the audience. And so, what I do for each show is I let people know where they can find someone to talk to.
Wonderful.
So that so that they can continue that healing path. And here at Universal Spirit Center, we have what's called practitioners, but in a prison, they may have their own counselors and and other places. So that's one thing that's very important for me to do is let people know that you've opened something up tonight in this show, and this is how you can continue that process.
Wonderful. Good for you. And yeah, what a responsible thing to do too, because obviously people. I haven't seen the show, but my sense of it, is that it will definitely open people up, and they will need to process. So good for you for thinking of that as a way to make sure that people get what they need after they have the experience. Well done, Sherry, my dear.
Thank you, honey.
You're welcome. Well, thanks to everybody who is watching. As is my custom, we are filming this today. This is Friday, July 31st, and within a day or two, I will have this on my YouTube page, and I will send the link to you, Sherry, as is my custom, and I will include in the end credits, I have a little title at the end of the video in which I will put your email address and your website again, sherryohara.com, singersherryohara@gmail.com, and we'll set it out into the wider world and see who finds it, and who knows? Wouldn't it be lovely if someone saw this and said, I would love to sponsor that show. I would love to help you take that statewide or worldwide. Wouldn't that be lovely?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's the vision. So of course it's going to happen.
Yep, of course it's going to happen, and you're the perfect gal to do it. So thank you for being my guest. Folks, you have been watching Small Steps, Big Life. My name is Nathan Aswell. I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and I have been talking to my sweet friend, Sherry O'Hara, who's in San Diego, and she's been talking about her one-woman show, which is... One more time.
Poetic Musicale, a spoken memoir of survival, strength, and spirituality.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for watching. Namaste.
May I be filled, may you be filled, may we be filled.